I feel bad about that time we watched it, and then Daleks was like, I love clowns. And we were like, fuck clowns.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Rewatch, the show where we watch movies we loved in our youth and see if they're actually any good.
Wait, are we rolling?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm Nick.
Always be recording. I'm Bret.
I'm Sam.
No, do it again. I'm sorry.
And so this week
I'm Ash.
we're talking about Bladé from 1998. The Wesley Snipes vampire hunter. I was telling Luna about this movie and I thought, that's a better title. Wesley Snipes vampire hunter?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what's going down now. So we were kind of talking about which movie we wanted to watch and why. And I think a big part of this, Bret, is because Black Panther is on our minds.
Yeah.
And it's I think the thing that we're all seeing is it's rare when we get a great comic book movie led by a person who's just not just a white guy.
Yeah. Totally. This is the other Marvel one.
No, it is absolutely Marvel. It's a Marvel comic book, but clearly not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
So it's
this
not
is before Marvel had
Yeah.
the Marvel money.
Yeah. But yeah, it was, I mean, it feels like we didn't really have that conversation back in 1998, but this was a rare exception where it was a big comic book movie and it wasn't just another white guy.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually saw a little write-up about it where they interviewed Wesley Snipes, and he said the same thing. He was just like, people didn't like this in 98, and the producers, when they looked at the box office, and it was huge box office, they're just like, I don't get why people like this.
Oh.
Maybe because we like to feel included in films. Jesus.
But it's like still a problem.
So they even thought when they made Blade, like, nobody's going to watch this because it's a black guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the freaking world, but I guess it's always a bummer when you hear that articulated, but I guess that is the standard assumption.
Yeah, and so it just seemed like I don't know, it's been a big year for black artists and creators, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, Get Out was amazing.
Get Out was so good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's nominated for a boatload of things, and Jordan won I think it was a Screen Actors Guild Award for a screenplay. Like, it's a big deal.
By the way, the main dude in Get Out is in Black Panther. And the whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm like, God, guy looks so familiar. And and then when I looked him up later.
He's also an episode of Black Mirror where he does exactly the same thing that he did in Get Out. Like, his acting is like, don't get me wrong, I thought he was amazing in Get Out. But then when I saw the Black Mirror episode, I was like, oh, is that all you do?
Well, they're both scenarios where somebody is fucking with his reality.
Yeah, it's true. But like, he's the type of actor where like, he kind of, like, for lack of a better word, just has a blue steel. Like, he just has one face,
But
you know?
That it fits both of those moments.
It does, but I'm just like, oh, I hope you have more than that when you're in other movies.
I think Black Panther proves it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it yet.
because it's like, now that you're mentioning
Completely
it, I'm like,
different character,
yeah, totally. I didn't realize
Okay.
it was him, and now I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, awesome.
It's also one of those cases where it's like, that dude's British? You know, like his American accent
he's
is
British.
so good.
Yeah,
Wow.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, in Black Mirror, he has a British accent.
Yeah.
though.
That was still the British era of Black Mirror.
I guess I can't talk too much about Black Panther, but
Hey, guys, you want to go see Black Panther after this?
I would see it again.
It
man.
really is that good.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, well, this isn't spoilers. Martin Freeman,
His American accent is hard to deal with.
real bad.
Oh, no, really?
I don't know if it's bad or if I'm so used to his real voice.
It's real bad.
You think so?
Yeah.
I saw other people
bothered, but-
tweeting about how it was bad.
And it's the same thing coinciding with Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I just could not get on board with that voice.
It's overly non-regional. Like it's so straight that he's not from anywhere.
Yeah.
That was my thought about it. But you'll see when you see the movie.
Yeah.
So this whole thing of, every superhero movie is a white guy and it's a bummer is a real thing. And I think about it because what's really tough about it is these are all stories that were written in the 60s, you know? And we can all agree the 60s was a horrific time for stuff like that. So as somebody who loves these comic books, I think it's important to stay true to those characters. It's important to stay true to the original books that I love. But there really weren't a lot of women or, you know, people of color in these books back in the 60s. And so it's a bummer. It's a bummer for that situation.
It is. And I think, like, we get, you know, the nice thing about the cinematic universes is that while they've tried to retell some of the original tales, it's a lot of like fresh takes. And, you know, we're getting that really cool looking animated Spider-Man movie with the Miles Morales Spider-Man. And like, it's nice because they can stay true to the theme, but like in these cinematic universes, they totally don't have to use even the same, you know, race or whatever. Like you can cast anyone for any part now because you can just rewrite a new fucking story.
Which, you know, people dog on the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck, but Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin, I thought was fantastic. I thought he was brilliant. So you can do that. You can cast completely different races. You can cast different genders, and it even works with the concept of the multiverse in Marvel. Like same themes, same heart, but the characters can be a little bit different. And so Blade is not one of those 60s characters. Blade is much more modern. I never really read Blade books, but I think it's newer.
And he was African American in the graphic. Okay.
Yeah, almost positive.
If you're wrong.
Yeah, I was just saying like, oh yeah, for sure. And then I realized I've never read these books, so don't be so confident.
Yeah.
But this was 1998. Mr. Wesley Snipes. And I was looking up Wesley Snipes. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was a good movie. And I wrote that down. Oh, that's a good movie. I wrote that down. And just seeing like during the 90s, that dude did so many good, mostly action movies. Like he's done. And as I start looking at him, like I think Major League was the first big one. But, you know, New Jack City, Jungle Fever, Passenger 57, White Men Can't Jump.
Man, I have not seen any of these movies.
Yeah, me neither.
But they're big movies.
Yeah.
Have we talked about Demolition Man?
Oh,
Seems
yeah.
like that's something that should be on our list.
It's on our list, and we're saving it for a special guest friend of ours.
Special occasion.
Yeah. RJ really wants to do that one.
Okay.
And we'll have him on eventually, so.
Yeah. I want to.
Is he in that movie?
Yeah.
Okay. You weren't just bringing it up for fun.
No. I want to get RJ's thoughts on what the shells are for.
Demolition Man is one of the best, like, futurist nonsense movies of all time.
All right.
Yeah, it's hard to comment on. I think it would be fun, but yeah, I don't know.
Demolition Man is one of those movies where, since you haven't seen it, it's the one that I accidentally quote a lot.
Oh, okay.
So
I can't think of any quotes.
I don't know. I've MDK'd quite a lot, or
yeah, clearly I don't remember it well.
Oh man. Okay. Well, you'll see.
Okay.
You know, for me, whenever I think of Wesley Snipes, I always think about 30 Rock.
Is he in that?
No, you remember Michael Sheen played a character named Wesley Snipes?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, well, think about it. Which of us looks like somebody who would be named Wesley Snipes? It was so good. Just like this nerdy British guy. It's like, I'm the real Wesley Snipes. That was so good. This movie also has Stephen Dorff, who in my mind is much bigger than oh yeah, Stephen Dorff, he's awesome. He's done a lot of stuff. And then I look at his IMDb list. I'm like, nope.
Who is that?
I wish I could tell you. I think you'll see him and you'll recognize him, but none of the movies jumped out. The one thing that really jumped out at me is in the Aerosmith video for the song "Crying," he's the boyfriend. So
that's how you recognize him.
That's a deep pull.
Yeah, that's the one thing. But he's better than that. Like, I know he's done good stuff.
Oh, you know, I'm from that Aerosmith music video.
It's a backup dancer in an Aerosmith video.
Donald Logue is in this. He's not really huge. He plays Harvey Bullock on Gotham. But we actually just saw Donald Logue in Cloverfield Paradox.
Oh.
He was the author they were interviewing who was talking
in the
about
beginning.
the concept of
the guy
paradox.
who wrote the book.
Yeah. He was in that. And I really dig Donald Logue. He was in this TV series called Life about a police detective who was sent to prison for a crime he didn't commit. Then DNA proved he didn't commit the crime, so he's coming out of prison to be a police detective again.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of a cool show.
That's tough. That actually happens a lot in real life.
Yeah. What is that? It's like the Freedom Project or something. There's like these people who research and try to help people who've been,
There's some
wrongfully
irony
convicted.
in that, though. Like being a police detective put away and then DNA.
And he's since adopted this like Zen outlook on life. So he's like weirdly calm. And
That's actually common with people that have been wrongly imprisoned. You'd expect them to get out and be angry. And they're just
Zen.
They've accepted it.
I mean, they've been in for years, usually, like decades.
Like that guy from Serial. He sounded pretty calm.
Yeah, well, don't bring up this debate, Brandon. Opposite sides.
Fun fact about Cloverfield Paradox. Did you recognize the lady interviewing him?
Oh, I feel like she was familiar. Now I don't remember why.
She's from Silicon Valley.
Yes.
She was the replacement for the guy who actually died, unfortunately.
That's why she looked familiar.
But also, she's in Cloverfield Lane.
You told me that.
Yeah, and she's the lady who pounds on the bunker door asking to be, like, let in.
Cloverfield Lane is so good.
Yeah.
That really is the best of the three, I think.
Really?
That traumatized
by a long
me.
shot for me.
The first one still really holds
I
up.
really like the first one, but the second one's just so good.
I have to see it again. I did like it. I'm not saying I didn't.
Oh, there's another Silicon Valley connection because T.J. Miller is the camera guy.
Oh, yeah.
In Cloverfield.
Oh, weird.
Huh.
So Udo Kier is also in this,
Okay.
and
That's a fun name.
Yeah, he's like this. I just saw him in Downsizing, and I kept thinking like he's like this creepy horror movie guy. And now I looking him up, I remember he was in Andy Warhol's Frankenstein and Dracula movies.
Wait,
What?
Andy Warhol?
Yeah, he produced these monster movies in the 70s, which I haven't seen.
Oh my God, that
Now I
sounds
feel
amazing.
like I really want to see
Yeah.
these. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
Flesh for Frankenstein and Blood for Dracula.
Excellent names.
Yeah. And he was
They also sound like great band names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to see Flesh for Frankenstein on Saturday. But he's also in Suspiria. So this is like definitely creepy vampire sort of guy. And I kind of sort of remember him in this.
Okay.
But I think we're in for a good creepy old school vampire-y type guy. And then the last guy that's interesting is Chris Christopherson, who ties into this thing that Mitch was posting on our Facebook group about musicians putting in good performances. And I'm curious. I feel like, do you guys remember Chris Christopherson in this?
Nope.
That's a no for me.
He's like the mentor teacher sort of guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The old scraggly cowboy looking guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's pretty good. So I'm anxious to see this to see.
Well, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, who is...
I feel like Wesley Snipes shouts his name a lot in this. Or maybe it was another different one.
And I was like, Chris Christopherson, the Mighty Duck Man.
He's one of those musicians where he's like, I know of him, but I really can't think of any of his songs. He's like a country guy. He's been in a lot of cowboy movies.
Oh. Well, if it's country music, I definitely don't know it.
So it kind of feels like a cast that's like, all right, you know, nobody I'm like super thrilled about, but I'm kind of like, all right. I know that Wesley Snipes can do cool action stuff.
This movie is going to have some action, and I think, honestly, the action probably hasn't aged super well.
That'll be interesting.
But like conceptually, I recall this being like the baddest ass of like like as cool as the vampire genre had ever been.
Yeah.
At that time.
I mean,
I remember
what's cooler than the perception of Blade? Like what's your coolest vampire movie? Like,
well, I've never seen Blade, so I don't.
But like, what's your coolest vampire movie?
See, I feel like Lost Boys, but it's not like
it's not cool though.
Cool,
yeah,
you know? It's just a really great movie.
There's vampires in Lost Boys?
Oh my God.
Sam's never.
So I guess you've never seen Lost Boys.
Oh. What is my coolest? Well, I'd have to look up vampire movies. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunt.
I would say Let the Right One In.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, or 30 Days of Night.
Haven't seen that one either.
I think I might put that one above Blade. Okay, yeah.
You know, guys, I would go with Twilight, but no, I'm just kidding. I like Interview with a Vampire. That one's good.
I read this awesome article about how Brad Pitt just hates that movie and hates being involved with it.
I could see why he... Oh, I also like Nosferatu. That one was really good.
Like, Brad Pitt called his agent to find out how much it would cost to buy himself out of the movie while they were shooting.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
Because he's saying, like, we shot all at night and we shot, like, underground, and it was depressing.
I could see that.
Yeah. And they said they really cut down his character from the book. But, yeah, I remember digging Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, Interview with Vampire is good. But, like, I feel like this was... When did you say 98?
Yeah, 98.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like, did this like spike a new trend in vampire movies? Because the only other one I can think of that not good, but Ultraviolet, which was like
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
When did The Matrix come out?
I'm going to guess 99.
That's what I was going to say. That's kind of my...
Actually, I think we've debated this, and Sam was right about 99, and I was trying to argue.
Don't you fuck with Sam on her Matrix knowledge?
Yeah, it was 99.
Okay.
I'm like, I think this was like either at the start of or like riding the wave of like techno goth.
Yeah.
So
Ultraviolet was 2006. That was like when it was getting really bad.
So there have been 3 Blade movies. I remember a particular action scene that I hope is in this movie that doesn't make any sense. And I don't want to talk about it until after the movie. Are you thinking of an action scene that doesn't make any sense?
So the Blade movies get more nonsensical as they move on. But I'm almost positive it's in this.
Okay. Well, so I don't know if I've seen them all. Guillermo del Toro directed the second one.
Oh, really? I was just going to say this seems like a thing he would do.
Yeah, which makes me really more interested to visit that. This was directed by Stephen Norrington, probably most famous for League of Gentlemen, but he was a visual effects guy, monster creature guy before that. So not a lot of directing before this.
I forgot about that League of Gentlemen movie.
I don't think I actually saw it. Another comic book movie.
Yeah. It didn't do well, I don't think.
Yeah. So yeah, I keep saying this, like, we're going to watch this and then I'm going to want to watch the sequel, but I don't know how I'll feel after this, but I'd like to see a Guillermo movie again.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different statement than I want to... Oh, because he did the second.
Yeah, Guillermo did the second one.
I have high hopes for this, guys.
Yeah. You were really into this movie.
You picked this movie.
Yeah, this was like little kid Bret was like, this is a rad movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I got high hopes. I think, like I said, some of the action might be a little dated because I know there's some CG stuff that's just, I mean, 98, 99 was like the worst. Like CG looked better before that and after that. There's just like bad movies with CG were the end of the millennium.
Matrix was pretty solid. Maybe it's when they had more money. Oh, am I remembering
sure?
wrong?
I don't know. I'm just like, I haven't seen it in so long. Do they hold up or do they only hold up in your memory?
You've wanted to do the Matrix.
I want to do the Matrix so bad.
You're swinging me around to it.
The one that sticks out in my mind is Lost in Space, and the CG is maybe the worst CG.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited for the new TV series.
Did we?
I can't tell if you're being serious. Okay.
I am. Like, I haven't seen any footage or pictures, but I love the idea of it.
Wasn't Lost in Space directed by, what's his name? Hawkins.
I don't remember who directed Lost in Space.
The scientist guy. What's his name?
Stephen
Hawkins.
No, Stephen Hawking was not directing films.
No, he did. He directed Lost in Space. That's why it's so bad.
Wait, what?
What you're saying doesn't make sense. No, okay, the director is Stephen Hopkins.
Oh. That's awesome.
Stephen Hawking is not direct.
And action.
Hey, maybe he's a good director. We don't know.
That's so not his area of expertise.
I really want to see a film by him now.
You're so horrible. So horrible, Bret.
You guys are fucking weird. So, okay, what do we expect out of Blade?
Me?
Yeah, what do you expect, Ash?
I don't know. I really don't know a lot about this movie. I just know there's vampires. I feel like I went over to a friend's house once and their parents were watching this movie, and I just remember that he had a katana, and I thought that was super cool. But I don't know if it was this movie. I'm really hoping he has a katana.
Totally
okay.
Blade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Blade.
I don't know if it's a katana.
I just thought that was his name. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that it's like a fun action movie that's good. I feel like people who like it talk about it, and it feels almost like a cult classic a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think that's accurate.
I feel like this movie and The Crow, I get kind of confused sometimes.
I've never seen The Crow.
The Crow's a lot older, like late 70s, right?
No.
It might have been like 89.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's definitely older than this, but it's not that old. And it's definitely a different deal. I would love to go back and watch The Crow.
I feel like this movie,
Crow is 94.
the look
Oh,
of Blade
shit.
might be like what Underworld wants to be.
Yes, that was the other one I was
yeah.
trying to think of. Underworld feels like it was trying to do a like modern day bondage version.
Like a white blade.
yeah.
I haven't seen Underworld. I have to cop to that. But I just despise the idea of, we're werewolves, we're fighting a war to defend werewolves. We're vampires, we're fighting a war to defend vampires. Nobody wants to be a werewolf. Nobody has allegiance and patriotism to be a werewolf. It's a curse. I hate that whole concept.
Well, isn't being a vampire the same
It
thing?
depends
So-
on your lore.
Sure. I
think.
feel like there's some strong work being done with werewolves that might be trying to push the pro-werewolf agenda.
As long as they don't have foul language, I'm okay with it.
I can't
But
wait.
yeah, this is a question for Bree, if being a vampire is a curse or not. I think it depends on your lore. Like some people or some like stories, you really want to be a vampire because you live forever, like you're always youthful, like there's all these benefits. And then
I can see a culture behind the vampires,
yeah.
not the werewolves. I will not accept that.
you
You
mean
ever seen True Blood?
Oh, are there werewolves in True Blood?
The werewolves
Spoilers.
are way hotter than the vampires.
Yes, that is true.
okay?
They're like shapeshifters.
And
Just saying.
He's been a good sport and watched a few episodes with me.
just saying, Nick, if you want some hot werewolves, check it out.
I mean, if the curse if the curse makes you hot, maybe that's what it is.
sex appeal.
Sex
That's
appeal.
why. That's what you're defending as werewolves.
My power. It's my curse.
You're saying not necessarily that one is better than the other. You're just saying that vampires seem to have more lore built around like a hierarchy, and werewolves seem to be more solo, and so therefore you don't understand they would organize.
No, it's just this idea of somebody standing up and say, I'm proud of my werewolf heritage and we're going to form a culture and defend ourselves. Like, well, no, like anybody who's a werewolf does not want to be a werewolf. It's the worst curse.
But you're like a werewolf, so what do you do with that?
Yeah, I don't think they're like werewolves,
And I
proud and
haven't seen-
loud. Like, I don't think that's what the movie's about. I think
I haven't seen it. So, yeah.
I just think it's about this idea of them clashing and having a war against each other.
I guess this does actually kind of plug back into this movie because I guess what I'm saying is I don't like it when monster movies get off the rails and somebody has a clever idea and explores this clever idea that is antithetical to what that monster is supposed to be about. And I don't think Blade falls into that trap, but I'm worried that it might. You know?
Well, I mean, it's a black guy with a katana, so This has already gone off the rails a little bit.
There's a precedent for vampire hunters. Like
with a katana.
Yeah, you have to stab them through the heart.
I mean, a katana is awesome. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think that breaks the rules, and I don't think that comes off of the rails.
Okay.
Like, you've got to arm yourself to be a vampire hunter.
Uh-huh.
So, no, that doesn't bother me.
Like, wouldn't you pick the cool weapon? Like, if they're like, you're going to go kill vampires, and they're like, you can have steak, you can have a sword, you can have a katana. You'd be like, fuck yeah, the katana. That's my weapon.
But how
choice.
effective is the katana?
You're about to find out.
Okay.
we saw recently on a crowded bus, just kind of glancing across, there's somebody's bag and there's an umbrella handle sticking out. Next to the umbrella handle is a katana handle sticking out.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, is that somebody walking around with a katana, or is that just the coolest umbrella ever?
Oh, I have seen umbrellas with a katana handle.
I think it was just a cool umbrella. But it was a weird moment.
Yeah. Yeah, because I have tried to bring an actual katana on a bus, and they would not have that. They were not okay with that.
So I stabbed them. So yeah, I'll throw my expectations. I'm optimistic. I think this can be fun. This isn't one where I feel like I'm locked into a particular opinion. This could swing wildly in either direction for me.
Like a katana.
I think... And there could be everywhere.
To be honest, I'm very excited about the katana. Yeah. So
that's your whole expectation.
I'm very excited about seeing him wield that katana.
So yeah, if there's cool action, if Wesley Snipes is the awesome badass that I expect of him, and if they don't go too off the rails with the lore, I think I'll be into it.
I do believe Wesley Snipes will do the action.
Oh, yes. He will do.
I do believe that's on his resume. As you can see here, I excel in action.
Sam, tell us what you expect out of Blade, and have you seen it?
I have not seen it. I expect it to be like The Matrix 3.0 with vampires and more weapons.
Okay.
How can you have more weapons than The Matrix?
But they just had guns.
The Matrix had a lot of unused weapons.
Yeah.
There was a wall.
Okay.
Yeah. These are weapons in use.
Okay.
A lot of black leather trench coats in my mind.
Yeah. I think that's...
A lot of Hot Topic clothing.
Weapons in use and weapons in juice.
Little known fact, this movie was sponsored by Hot Topic. They donated all the clothes.
You know, I just realized, and this might be kind of a bummer, this is the Blade movie without Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
We could have had Ryan Reynolds.
I'm not going to frown at that.
Okay. All right. So I guess we've got our expectations.
Wait, you don't like Ryan Reynolds?
I don't think
he's only Deadpool, and that's it.
Yeah.
Ooh, ouch.
Van Wilder?
No.
Van Wilder's so good. All right. So
I think that's one of those, no way has that aged appropriately.
Now that we have our expectations for Van Wilder out of the way, maybe we should watch Blade. So yeah, we're going to check it out. We're going to watch Blade and get back on the mic and see what we think.
Smack my bitch up.
Yeah, we can watch Blade.
The boss fight music, that was like maybe a popular techno song, and instead wasn't, because it ended with Blade, 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 Blade.
Oh yeah, like an original techno song for the movie.
Dude, but that was exactly what I wanted out of this movie, was that scene.
Yeah.
It was everything I hoped for and more.
Isn't that the structure of comic book movies? Everything builds up to them full power having a boss fight.
Yeah.
So
and the music just really sealed it all.
Like he caught the sunglasses and you were in.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think Bret and I out loud was like, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's not something I would say is particularly good, but it's that's fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like fine cinema, but it was fucking enjoyable, man.
I mean, story-wise, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not bad. There
was a lot of good plans and payoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It totally followed a good
sense.
structure.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about the elephant in the room?
What?
Can I say it? Can I say it? Can I say it?
I mean, you said it in the beginning.
This movie took a lot from Matrix.
Well, the Matrix took a lot from this, man.
Nick always says his elephant in the room backwards. That's how you followed it.
I think the Wachowskis stole some shit, man.
Yeah.
They should be upset.
Yeah. I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, that's the Wachowskis. Like, that's the story of their life.
Literally stole the script.
But we've seen a lot of they stole this and they stole that, but they just wholesale copy pasted the look of this into their movie.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Right down to the green color correction and everything.
But this one, I mean, I guess this one's better in that sense that they had a broader palette of color correction for the mood of the scenes they were shooting, where Matrix was just like, oh, we're in the computer world, we're green.
Yeah,
totally. But yeah, this definitely had plenty of moody color grading.
Yeah.
And lots of trench coats.
And swords. I love the part in the beginning when he's climbing out of the cellar that he just had the big fight in. And it's like his whole back is kind of hunched over because he's climbing out, but he's got that katana, which must be a rubber katana that he's climbing out of that little grating.
Well, so isn't a thing about swords that if they're thin enough, they bend?
That makes sense, but I never imagined a katana to be that
swords. Thin. Katanas are made out of folded steel, so they shouldn't bend.
His is made out of titanium, which they said out loud, and then totally kind of... I thought it was a silver one.
How does titanium kill vampires? I guess if you stab a vampire with a stake or silver... or a bone.
Yeah, the bone didn't make any sense to me either.
Well, maybe he was just always slicing them through the heart.
But his mom, he sliced
straight through
abdomen.
the heart.
And you're to blame. That one's for her.
I'm a vampire all day.
She loves Bon Jovi.
I have a criticism of Bon Jovi.
Oh, okay. Buckle up.
It's
okay.
I can't do it on the show, but they only have one song. And then Dead or Alive, which is the second song.
You're good at math. That's 2.
But they only have one song, and it's the chords of all of their hits are the same chords. They're all the same song with different lyrics.
I have recently learned that that's not quite true.
Oh, my gosh.
Especially when there's one particular Bon Jovi song that is the alarm clock every day. It's definitely not the same as what you're talking about.
But there's also those guys that were every song is the same 4 chords. Have you seen that video? It's pretty great.
Yeah, but they pull it from all the bands.
AC sounds the same.
Or U2. In my opinion, U2 sounds the same.
Yeah, they've got some range. Anyway, what do you think about Blade? I was Blade.
So we kind of just hit the broad strokes of the Matrix thing, but I think really that's the biggest element to talk about for me is just you mentioned this not the stairway scene, the lobby scene, and the elevator, and there's the library scene where they blow up the library door, and I guess that was stylistically from the Matrix lobby scene, but
yeah. But what do you call it? Goth ravers, that sort of stuff.
But that's not really Matrix-y. I mean, goth is, but raver's not.
Oh, they had a rave scene.
It was in the second one.
Yeah, the second one.
The third, actually.
The first, yeah. I think Trinity finds him.
Oh, yeah. That was there was totally a rave scene in the beginning of the first one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here's the scene that I was anticipating that made no sense. And Brett, you called it as it was happening. So dance rave vampire, they bring a guy in and he's going to be food, and then they just shower blood from the sprinklers, and Bryce said it too. It's well, this is food. This is if
I went to a rave and the sprinklers turned on and melted chocolate was coming from the ceiling, it would be the best day of my life. I'm just saying.
Amazing. For 43 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it'll be this was a horrible idea.
People just start slipping and falling in the chocolate.
Yeah.
Or alcohol or something.
Yeah, alcohol. Champagne. I could see it with champagne. I mean, they do have raves. They're called bubble parties or whatever, where they fill it up with
food.
Right.
That would be cool. Like all of this food does sound awesome for 28 seconds. You know?
I think what we're all saying is we'd love to just have a bunch of food thrown at us in a party environment.
I think that's the opposite of what Nick's saying.
Well, Nick is the only one who's like, that would be weird.
No, I'm with Nick.
Yeah, it just seems
You
like
and Ash can go have your weird blood party.
I thought it was a pretty cool scene, though.
Oh yeah, it's a great visual.
Therein is the problem with this movie. Like, there's a lot to love about this movie, but it is that style over substance, action, male posturing, sort of like, I'm gonna be a badass, you know?
There's a lot of things to be afraid of. Like what? Like me.
Yeah.
And this movie walked a line, and most of the time it was fun, but sometimes it's like, come on. Like, this is
Really?
14-year-old boy fun, you know?
I was so into it.
I was
I liked
totally
it.
into it
And I
too.
was too.
Maybe I'm a 14-year-old boy at heart.
Well, I gotta know, what was your least into it
yeah,
sequence?
what was the thing?
What pulled you out?
What pulled me out? Okay, I mean, that's an easy one. The injection that makes people explode.
Oh yeah.
You know, but here's the problem, and I'm sure you're sick of me going off on this rant, but David Goyer, he's the guy who wrote Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman. Like, he loves this dark comic book stuff, and it works with some characters, and with some characters it is the wrong direction. So while this was fun, David Goyer is what's wrong with superhero stories.
Wait, so how is he connected
Yeah,
to
I don't-
this
I'm-
movie?
He wrote this movie.
Okay.
And he directed the third. So he's like
Okay.
the backbone of these movies.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the explosion could have worked if it hadn't have looked so dated. And then, like, Ash made a good point. She's like, if I had directed that scene, he'd have blood all over him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't, it could have been really gross. Like,
And the whole time I'm okay with it. Like, it was all fun,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all at the top of the tolerable level of ridiculous teenage male
Yeah.
action movie.
That is funny that it progressed that way, that he wrote this and then directed the third one, because this was ridiculous but through someone else's eye, and then the third one I recall just being
off the rails.
Off the fucking rails, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me want to see the Guillermo movie in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The explosion thing didn't really bother me. I guess I enjoyed a new way of killing vampires, that we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it could have so easily just been like, oh yeah, his blade is silver and he's just killing them like the old fashioned way, and I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool that there was a different,
Yeah.
and like it made sense that she found it because, that was her profession.
Yes, but, in the first reel we meet a hematologist. It's like, it's that really
Well, it's
convenient
movie
storytelling.
logic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay, so I'll give you, it's convenient storytelling for like the way the movie progresses, but in universe, he's been fighting vampires for 30 years.
yeah.
Without the hematologist. So like, why tell that story instead of the one where he wins? Like, that's the logical place to pick it up.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm
Totally.
with
Yeah.
Yeah, and every one of those beats, it's like, I'm into it, but it's walking in the direction of me not being into it,
There was one that pulled me out a little early in the movie, actually, thinking about the over-the-top moments, and it was when he just ragdoll through what's-her-face from the building onto the other building.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That definitely didn't make any sense.
Have you guys seen the trailer or the poster for Skyscraper?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Right? There's this whole thing on the internet. So it's this movie with Dwayne Johnson. He's not credited as the.
Oh, I have seen. It's basically. I'll let you say.
So there's this one shot in the trailer and the poster. He's running off of a crane way up high in the sky, jumping off the crane, and it's that he's going to jump into the window of the skyscraper. But the arc that he's taking from where he jumped to the window is completely impossible. And there's like internet nerds making graphs of like, this is how he would fall. This is the gravity,
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah, and it
people
was like the
oh,
only way it makes sense is if he was running like the fastest any human has ever run.
Yeah, faster than Usain Bolt's record. Yeah. And that's what I was thinking about in that scene. Like, he threw her from one window all the way across to another and landed her on the garbage to break her fall.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair to The Rock,
Dwayne Johnson. He's matured.
He in that movie, he's missing the leg.
Right. So
he's got the bionic leg.
That's the whole thing I was worried. Like, did they account for
We've already
the leg?
verified that the bionic leg is faster.
Oh.
Okay.
But only half of him is faster.
I mean, also, you have to go fast enough to make that trajectory and break through the window.
I'm just saying he had like a spring jump, you know? Like,
I mean, he'd
I
have
think
to
the
have
window's
little.
already broken, at least in the poster.
Okay. I haven't seen the poster. I was like, you have to have little spikes on your shoes or something because tempered glass does not break.
I thought you were going to talk about the fact that people have been saying that movie is basically Die Hard again.
I guess there's some Die Hard stuff there.
Have you seen the trailer?
I've seen the trailer, and here's what's fascinating about the trailer, like the level of intelligence we're dealing with. I saw the trailer and I understood every word that people said. I saw the trailer in Italian. So that's the level of the dialogue in this movie.
Oh.
That it's so lowbrow that my less than elementary understanding of Italian, I understood everything that they said.
I like the concept of, like, we all know that the Rock is the perfect human. So, like, how do we give him a believable, like, reason to have a challenge? Let's take his fucking leg.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they also take his family, and I guess that's action motivation.
yeah.
But this movie, I thought this movie was so great. I really liked it. I'm surprised that we were seeing the Rotten Tomatoes was like 54% or something. I don't understand why, because this was pretty awesome. The only, besides the throwing her across the window thing, the only other thing that
got a few more
kind of bothered me was, like, I was so stoked about that katana, and the action in this film was so fucking awesome. And then we get to them actually having a sword fight, and that is not how you fight with a katana.
Yeah. It was like fast.
Well, it was like all just up.
It was like fencing.
Yeah, it was not. That's not how you fight with a katana. And I was just so disappointed because it was just like you said, that's like two teenage boys fighting with swords, just like hitting them together up high. Like, that's not how you choreograph sword fighting at all. You know, that's
the thing I have with this movie. It's that guy in high school with a trench coat who had swords at home. This is his favorite movie.
Please don't.
Or that girl with a trench coat. With something.
No. It's my ex-boyfriend.
Okay, yeah.
This probably was his favorite movie. I don't know.
It's okay. It was probably my ex-boyfriend's as well. You don't. That was pre-Bret, so you may not have met him, but it was embarrassing.
Oh, I remember that guy. He was.
Don't worry.
Scary as well.
He was not scary. Anyway. He got scary when we got older.
But I besides that and the awful CG, of course.
Well, here's another thing. In movies like this, especially vampire movies, rules are important. What kills them is a big part of vampire movies. And I appreciate that each storyteller gets to tweak their rules, but you got to explain the rules. So why does Donald Logue not die? Like, he keeps kind of killing him, and he keeps surviving.
Really understand that either.
Explain to me those rules. When he can stab somebody with a bone and she melts into ash.
Yeah.
Why does that guy not die?
So
over and over again.
I don't have a science. There's like it's definitely kind of a battleshipping moment in this, but I do love the concept of the unkillable, just comic relief joke villain.
Yes, love it. Give us a logic for it. Give us why.
Comedy Dad was only there to be chopped to bits again and again.
And he was fun, like this idea that you can regenerate infinitely. And I like the little detail of the hematologist knew that the main bad guy was not a pureblood because he had a scar. You don't have a scar if you were born as a vampire.
Mm-hmm. Where was his scar?
I couldn't see it.
Okay, I was like, what scar are you talking about?
What scar? He's perfect.
But still, like, I like the logic of the regenerating, and that's cool. But give us a reason why the fire didn't kill him, the multiple stabbings didn't kill him.
I could understand why the fire wouldn't kill him, but then I wouldn't understand why he would attempt to light him on fire. If
he says, I've tried to kill you several times.
Yeah.
You should try like stabbing him with the sword that kills vampires.
Yeah.
You know? Like, why is he having such a hard time killing that guy?
I don't know. Because he's Chucky?
Yeah, I mean, put it in the movie.
I mean, that's a good point.
I think he was just being mean to him.
Like he was just playing with him?
He was just bullying this vampire.
That would be fun, except he actually did say, I've been trying to kill you several times.
Yeah.
But that's just him, baiting him.
I mean,
it was
when the mission is to kill vampires.
Yeah, clearly. I will say, though, I loved the scene with her and her ex, and like they're having this classic conversation of like, oh, why can't we get back together, and then him like attacking them, and then I was not expecting to see him again, her ex, at all. Like, I loved that callback, and it was almost sort of like, I guess in my own twisted sense of humor, it was like humorous that he's like, why exactly did we break up, before she bashes his face in?
It's a little like the perfect 2018 like comedy thing is just like the guy that's like asking uncomfortable questions and like was about to take it too far when a vampire fucking killed him.
Yeah.
And then comes back from the fucking dead and it's just still like, hey, take me. It's like,
I wish I could bottle the joy that I had for the 1.5 seconds that I thought that was Nathan Fillion.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
You were pretty excited.
And no, not at all.
I also, when I was watching this movie, at first I was like, man, this would be an awesome series to reboot. But I feel like it taking place in the 90s is so integral to this film that...
Totally.
Like, if you did reboot it, it would have to take place in the 90s. And you would have to keep that awesome 90s music.
But, like, late 90s, early 2000s. Like, that era. Yeah.
Totally.
That music totally sets the tone.
I mean, it would be dubstep now, right?
No, dubstep's over. It would be that, like, Prodigy type music. Totally.
You know what? I love how Sam just announced dubstep's over. Get over it.
You heard it here first.
I don't know if they heard it here first, but Sam is confirming.
This is the drop you've been waiting for. Sam just dropped dubstep. You know, one thing that is pretty glorious about this movie is there's a way to write and perform that character where he's just stoic badass. But this, he's got some real humor to it.
Yeah. Which
was
so great.
That when he thought he killed the main bad guy, and then it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So great.
I wish I could remember some of the others, but there's some really funny stuff there. Oh, he does a lot of like, mugs to the camera.
Or when the cops bust into the hospital and they shoot him, he's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that.
That's right.
Yeah. But like catching the sunglasses is kind of a...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was just fun. It was good. I liked that they didn't force a love story between him and the chick either. Like, you could definitely end this movie thinking that they're like together, but it wasn't like, okay, here's the sex scene moment, Yeah.
I was dreading it because that's that tedious thing that has to be in every movie.
Yeah.
I mean, she also had a purpose in the actual story.
Well, if it wasn't for her, he actually wouldn't have been able to defeat the guy because she invented the serum.
Yeah, totally. So, it was really cool to see and kind of a little bit ahead of its time, I think.
Yeah, she kicked fucking doors in and shot people.
Yeah. Well, there was that moment when something bad happened when they broke into their headquarters, and I was like, here's the part where they killed the girl to give him motivation to come back and kill them all. And then it didn't happen.
Well,
they killed the men.
Just a different character.
Yeah. I mean, but
it was still the scene you described.
She's just saying normally it's
women.
It's
the girl. That's the girl's purpose in superhero movies is to die.
I thought that was the father's purpose. Sometimes it's a girl.
Yeah, because the girl's normally being kidnapped, right?
Yeah.
Which she did get kidnapped, but it didn't feel like his reason to go kick ass was just because of her. It felt like his reason was because they killed his friend.
Yeah, they had that videotape thing where he's like, look, we've got the girl. And like they pan over to Blade, and it feels like perfectly in character for him to be thinking like, do you think I care?
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming to kill you.
I mean, also, too, she wasn't helpless when she was captured.
Yeah, totally.
Like, she wasn't, like, tied up in a dungeon with some impending doom. Like, that helped, too. Like, she wasn't just a damsel waiting to be rescued.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, threw her into an escapable Batman trap.
Yeah, he showed up and didn't really, like, make too much of an effort to save her, and then got captured himself.
Mm.
I've never really seen. Have we seen a vampire movie with zombies in it before? That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen that type of aberration.
I really liked that. It could have easily been just like, oh, they're really cramming stuff in here just to have a different monster. Mm-hmm. But like, they kind of made a joke out of it. Like Frost was just like, sometimes turning into a vampire just doesn't work right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not actually a zombie. It's an aberration to the transformation process.
Yeah.
And then it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked that. So in the beginning, you asked what our favorite vampire movies were, and I didn't think of it at the moment, but another movie that feels very similar to this, and it was interesting that this ends in Russia too, is a movie called Night Watch, which is a Russian movie, and Day Watch. Day Watch is the sequel to Night Watch. But
Champion of the Sun.
Yeah. But it's by the director who did The Wanted. I know nobody likes The Wanted, but he, in my opinion, I'm not even going to attempt Timur something. I'm not going to attempt
Bekmambakov.
There you go. Yeah.
Bekmambakov.
And I just think he does action so well. So if you like this movie and you want like another one, Night Watch actually came out in 2004, but this came out before that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What did we see?
So he might have borrowed some stuff from that. But again, it's very much like vampire hunters going around killing vampires wearing dated clothes and sunglasses,
Yep.
Cool.
So
I'm surprised y'all went with Dayman instead of fucking Hasselhoff with Daywatch.
I can't really sing the Baywatch song.
I don't even know what it is.
No clue. But anyway, I would say that was another good stylized action vampire film.
I have to check that one out.
Films.
What was that? Did we say 30 Days a Night?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one I dig.
That was rad.
Just a fun concept.
That's the one in Alaska, right?
I think it's Alaska. It's definitely one of those, far north places.
Like Alaska.
Where you get long stretches without sun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's the thing they glossed over in this movie is what happened to Blade ages like 0 to 3, where he was a bloodthirsty baby.
He was, well, okay. Yeah, I knew he was living on the street when Whistler found him at 13, but yeah. Oh, that reminds me of the other thing that bugged the hell out of me. Blade can't have flashbacks to the day he was born. That's not an acceptable flashback to have.
I don't think Blade was having a flashback. I just think the filmmakers were doing a flashback for the audience.
I'd like to believe that because he's part vampire, his memories never degraded.
Maybe.
He's got perfect memory.
Also, vampires...
That would be horrifying to remember your birth.
Vampires don't age. So, at what point did he just stop aging?
Well, I think Whistler set up that he ages more like normal people.
Yeah, he said he ages like a human.
Okay, yeah. I missed that.
There were a lot of really cool filmmaking and lighting techniques in this film, too.
Yeah.
That were pretty interesting. They must have been wearing some sort of weird contacts, but also, the way they were lighting their eyes. I don't really know exactly what they did, or if it was partly the contacts, but the vampire eyes always had 2 specular highlights as opposed to the humans usually just had 1. And I don't know, it's a really small detail, but it was interesting because it made their eyes look like they were glowing a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then the shutter speed with the car chase.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
I think that was a combination of shutter speed and a speed ramp.
Yeah,
I think it was a little bit fast motion in addition to a weird shutter speed.
Yeah, I
Totally.
think they filmed it like slow, like the cars were driving slow and then sped it up to normal speed, and it had that crazy look to it.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it was another one of those things that was like, that's almost lame and stupid, but it really works for the tone that they're doing.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, it looked to me sort of like the technique they used for Saving Private Ryan in
Plus
the beginning.
a speed ramp. That's the
Yeah,
that reads
which is
to
why
me.
I'm saying shutter speed.
Yeah, and Gladiator used that shutter speed
Because
effect.
I think even if you filmed footage and you sped it up, it wouldn't have had the same jerky feeling
Yeah.
that shutter speed effect gives it.
It reminded me of The Grudge.
Yes. Yeah, The Grudge uses it too.
Drop frames and stuff.
But another was that I feel like it's a Scott Pilgrim moment where it's like the sword is in the wall. And Blade, you were saying it's like a video game where you identify an obtainable object.
Yeah, the screen flashed.
Yeah, he looks across the room and that's like, sword, 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 and that was very Scott Pilgrim.
Oh,
They did
yeah.
that with the sword and with the explodey juice.
Yeah, but that didn't have the same sort of like crazy effect to it.
So you also brought up in the beginning about the guy in this film who's a musician.
Yeah.
Who-
So how did he do?
I thought he actually did pretty good.
Which one was he?
He was
Whistler.
Whistler, the guy who died,
Oh,
who was his friend.
the country music.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so there you go, Mitch. There's another musician who did a pretty good performance.
Yeah.
And I think he's done a shitload of cowboy type movies too.
And at first I was like, I was like, he's not doing much. But then that death scene I thought was so great when he's like, walk away,
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked that. I thought he did a good job there.
It was the moment that really won you over. The vampires are coming, and he just hits the overhead lamp.
Oh
and a
my
shotgun
God.
falls off.
Yes. That was so badass. And I think you said in the beginning, Sam, how this film utilizes a variety of weapons versus
Yeah.
the Matrix. It just feels like guns and the
Yeah.
same guns. Like, I enjoyed the variety of weapons,
And
the
what
fun
they
places they're hiding, yeah.
And the creative use of you watch. Just Terminator comes to mind with the shotgun, and it's just like, I've got a shotgun, and like this was like almost like fist fighting with a shotgun, but still shooting people.
Like when she knocked the guy to grab the shotgun and then fired the shotgun to make him let go.
But again, I have to wonder about rules. Like, if you shoot a vampire with a shotgun, do they disintegrate, or did they make silver shot?
He was in there, like in one of the scenes, actually forging like the
Bullets.
metal.
Yeah, we saw him making bullets, but making silver shot. I mean, I guess movie logic, okay, but that's a shitload of work.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah.
And he has like a handheld machine gun that's like spraying bullets. Did they make all those silver bullets by hand?
Well, that machine gun, he was shooting police and like people that they hired that were humans. Because
those guys
remember
aren't
that one
disintegrating.
guy, like he would shoot them and they wouldn't disintegrate.
So he's got a gun for familiars,
I think so.
and then
Yeah.
another gun with more valuable ammunition.
Yeah, I think so.
But he definitely killed vampires who disintegrated using a shotgun. But if we can believe that they made their own guns and their ammunition and built a motorcycle, like, I guess we can buy that.
I forgot about the motorcycle. That scene didn't really make sense to me because it was cool, but like he was underground. How did he get the motorcycle there? Like, and it didn't look like he came out of the elevator. So where
Well,
did
that was like
that?
a lobby. Like he busted in the
I thought it was down below though. You had to take the elevator from the Japanese
He put the
club
motorcycle in the elevator.
down. So like, how did he? Well, that's what I thought, but he didn't come out of the elevator. So I didn't understand, where did this motorcycle come from?
So here's an interesting question of logic. Like, I understand they made their own guns and made their own bullets. They made their own motorcycle. Why would you make a motorcycle? Like, did they make the Chevelle? Like, what's the logic? Like, the car we're not going to make. A motorcycle we're going to make.
So it kind of looked like a modified motorcycle.
Yeah.
Like over the years,
Okay,
shit had
okay,
got
I'll buy that.
busted,
I'll buy
and
that.
they fix it
Yeah,
themselves.
they never said they made it. It just looked like they made it.
He was very clear it was a low budget operation.
Right, because we steal money from the people we killed, and that's how we're making silver bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're stealing a lot of money out of these people's wallets.
Silver, maybe was silver cheap in the 90s?
I don't know the cost of silver.
I mean, if the watches they're stealing are silver, they could melt it down.
Yeah, he was like, "This is a fake." They were just melting all of the jewelry. Maybe that's kind of an interesting like through line that the unspoken that the vampires maybe are like giving everyone really cool jewelry and shit.
Yeah, wait, why would the vampires be wearing silver jewelry?
No, I mean like buying their familiars like cool shit.
Another thing that didn't make a lot of sense, though, like I just felt like I was just like, whatever, like with this film, it's like I'm just gonna let it, I'm just gonna
absolutely
totally buy into it because it's just a fun action movie. But like he was standing, the main Frost guy, when he had that little Asian girl kidnapped, he's standing in the sunlight.
with his special sunblock.
But in the scene before, he had to wear a helmet and like, why?
I mean, but the guy was also burning before they did the helmet.
Yeah.
Like, and they were fine.
I mean, I'll buy that the sunblock works for a little bit and maybe in low light and not like direct sunlight, but he was in direct sunlight.
I mean, it was like bright and direct, whereas like sunrise is like direct.
Mm-hmm.
He's the big bad. You got to give him a little bit of leeway on like, he prepped. He was the boss.
He put on his makeup.
He did the most prepping of any of the vampires.
He's prepper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a beautifully shot scene. Like, I don't know what that
The
location.
sunrise?
No.
The park scene.
The park scene with the
Lantern.
Chinese lanterns and the trees, and like it was just refreshing to have this like green nature
Usually
scene.
vampire movies are so dark.
Yeah.
In the middle of a city.
Yeah.
So what's great about the sunrise, where they kill Udo Kier, I always think that is the most effective way to give yourself a badass villain in a movie. You've got a guy like Udo Kier who's got this history of being awesome vampires in movies, and the villain in this movie kills that guy, and that's what makes him formidable.
It's kind of like in True Romance, where it's like you think it's going to be Samuel L. Jackson, and then Gary Oldman kills Samuel L. Jackson.
And The Force Awakens, like that was so powerful, and that's how we got. Like I was not the least bit afraid of Kylo Ren until that moment. Mm-hmm. Just in case people.
Okay, I was like, what?
but you know the moment, like
Okay.
A moment that really defines the bad guy and gives them weight.
The costumes were pretty awesome too. Like, I feel like the costumes in this movie, at least for Wesley Snipes, was way cooler than I remember the Matrix costumes being. Like the Matrix costumes just kind of feel like generic
Black leather.
Yeah. But
so in a very real way, the Matrix costumes were just like fetish costumes. Like,
yeah.
And we learned later that's totally just what it was. It was one of the
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of the Wachowskis was just like, that's fucking hot, and like that's all it was. And this kind of felt like there was a lot of care taken to the costuming.
This kind of felt a little film noir in like the styling of the costumes, like the trench coat, but more modern to kind of fit within this techno goth feel.
Well, the trench coat is a techno goth thing, so it wasn't like they invented that.
No, I know.
But what I mean
the silhouettes are a little more subtle, like old fashioned.
What I mean is like the details on his costume. So like he had like these buckles and he had like these holsters.
It was really armor.
And it looked like it was functional versus in Matrix, it just looks cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Neo's outfit was a black trench coat on top of like a fucking black turtleneck, plain nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think
And
there was
leather
any
pants
real
or whatever.
costuming. Yeah.
And I also really like Frost's costume. He would have these perfectly pressed shirts with very high collars, very high, sharp collars, which very subliminally makes you think, Dracula sort of thing. Like he feels vampire because he's got these high, sharp collars.
And also because he doesn't want people to see his bite.
Oh yeah, because he's not pure blood.
Oh, was that the scar she was talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, it would have helped to have an insert there.
I like that.
I also thought it was interesting. This is another one of those. I mean, it's not like it's uncommon to see this anymore. But this is another one of those movies where it puts the hero in black and the bad guy in white. So going against sort of the common trend of, bad guy in black, hero in white. But, like the Frost dude, his like right hand chick was always wearing white. That was just her thing. And then Frost wasn't necessarily always wearing white, but he was in lighter colors than all black. And the girl and Blade were always wearing all black. But it's just sort of a technique to like separate your characters and make them stand out.
Also plays into that techno-goth style a little bit.
I like that you keep saying techno-goth.
Is that not a thing?
It's perfect for what it is. I don't know if that's the real term, but...
You know what this movie needed, though? It needed Techno Viking.
I think it needed Ryan Reynolds.
As Techno Viking?
I am both sad and not sad that this isn't part of the current Marvel-verse. Like...
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so cool. But if it was part of the current Marvel-verse, it would not be.
Yeah, it would be totally different.
Because the current Marvel couldn't do this.
Sure they could.
Not like this.
Have you seen Punisher?
They would interrupt the big moments with jokes in a way that this didn't.
I don't know. Punisher definitely feels on this level. It's also boring as shit.
See, that's the thing. That's my argument is like, I would argue that a lot of the Marvel movies are kind of boring and filled with long exposition scenes as opposed to this it was not very heavy-handed in the exposition scenes. Like, there were a few, but they were pretty quick, Yeah,
it's kind of like the first Tim Burton Batman, where they did not burden themselves too much with the origin story. Like, there's a flashback, you get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the origin story, and this was, he was born.
It's a pretty good origin story.
His mom...
And I like the idea, if anybody were to ask him, like, what's your origin story? He would say, I was born.
Yeah.
So,
The thing with his mom was kind of strange, though, too.
Yeah.
As you pointed out, Sam.
He was weird and Oedipus complexy.
Oh, yeah, she was a little touchy-feely.
Definitely sexualized.
I mean, Wesley Snipes is just so damn hot.
Yeah, she's getting,
His mom has to get some of
getting all hot and bothered
gross.
up in there. It was weird.
Again, though, interesting. A character coming back that they set up that I was not expecting to come back, which was kind of interesting.
And what better way to like sell the dehumanizing and like no longer a person element of being a vampire than that horrifying sequence?
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Like, you might have had questions if he killed his mom and she hadn't been acting like that.
That's true. Yeah.
Definitely. So the what is the girl's name? I forget her name.
Doctor
Doc McStuffins.
Doc McStuffins.
McStuffins.
I mean, she had a name.
Yeah, I
Her
don't
name was
remember her
Robert
name
Paulson.
either.
So, like, this cure that she has, it just cures her from all future vampirism? Because
Karen.
what confused me, Karen, why are we not together? What confused me was, like, okay, she got bit and then she cured herself. But then I feel like you get bit again, you need to take the stuff again and cure yourself again, right?
I mean, maybe it was like...
Or is it like
she
a
said,
virus?
I have to go back to the lab. Maybe that was like...
But she said she had to go back to the lab to cure him, not her.
So I have this... It's a weird thing I'm still working on, because it's one of the things that bothers me, even though I'm always bitching about battleshipping, is there's questions that I feel like if there is a reasonable answer somewhere, that they shouldn't have to answer it in the movie. And like I think you were going to suggest maybe it was a virus and she had vaccinated herself. It's like, if that's possible, then they don't need to have that line in there.
Oh, I completely disagree.
Like,
you've got to put it in the movie.
Like, she's a scientist. She's like, I cured myself, and like, I buy that.
But like,
if the
she
audience
didn't do an impossible thing, we have vaccines in the real world.
If the audience is burdened to fill in the gaps of the story, then you've failed to tell the story.
I don't know if that was even relevant to the story so much, though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because I was like, how is she not a vampire now? Because here's the thing. Is her telling Blade to take her blood is a bigger sacrifice if she is risking herself to vampirism again. Boom. So in that moment, I was like, whoa, this is pretty crazy. She's like risking her life, and risking becoming a vampire. But then if there was no risk, then it wasn't really... it just takes away the significance of that scene.
Yeah, she's like, it's a blood donation session.
Interesting, because I read it from a completely different angle, which is that Blade doesn't do that.
Oh, it was both. It was sacrificing his
absolutely.
Because she was like ready to go, and he was like, no.
Well, she kind of had a little beat where she like realized like the only way to save him was to offer her blood.
Also, like half of the time people got bit in this movie, they died.
And
yeah.
So there's also that danger.
Yeah.
There's even more to that scene. There's the interesting element of she's like, stop.
Because he like couldn't control himself once he was doing it.
And it was a sex scene. Like,
that's true.
When a vampire bites somebody, I can see a thrust of the bite. But in this, it was like thrust. Change camera angle, thrust. Change camera angle, thrust.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
Like,
Yeah,
it was a lot to that little scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made weird sexual elements out of a lot of stuff in this.
But I like what you're saying, Ash. It is a sacrifice if she knows that she's got no cure coming.
And like, it's not like I wanted a lot. I just wanted her to like, or him to hand her a cure.
Yeah, and it does poke holes in that thing. Like, if it was a vaccine and then he drank the vaccine, is he like? Yeah, okay, I get it.
Okay. I mean, it's not like a deal breaker, but it was just like a thing at the end where I was like, wait a minute, this logic you set up feels unsound.
That's the problem I have. Like, they didn't really give us firm logic, and that is something you have to establish in a vampire movie.
Did you guys catch the half a second shot of the lightning transformation scene where the lightning struck the room that they were fighting in, Blade and his mom, but the casket was still closed.
Oh.
And like then they continued the fight scene while the lightning was going, and there was no lightning in that room.
Well, there was also the scene where he takes that guy's face and puts it against the train, and then it cuts to them fighting again, and his face is like totally fine. And then it cuts to a close-up and his face is like fucked up. But it was like, they were like, let's not worry about the makeup for this wide shot,
Yeah, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Or the editor juggled shots.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was written in that they continue to fight after he puts his face on the thing.
Was there like a really wide range of CG? Because like I bought some of it.
And I really did not buy some of it.
Yeah, some of it.
CG blood drips.
As Bryce pointed out, like the like sparks when the swords hit each other were CG, and they looked pretty good.
It felt like it got worse as the movie went along, though.
It did get worse as the movie went along. Like they ran out of budget.
Awesome. Yeah, like they knew what they had the money for, and they're like, if we impress the audience up front, they'll forgive us later.
Yeah.
I don't know that I follow that logic, but
well, he's not saying it's good logic. He's just saying, it. I don't know if the CG just wasn't there for what they were trying to do, but like even the weird skeleton things that crawled out of those people's mouths were not super great.
Ooh, yeah.
But like the worst was when he like blood slinkied and then his hand reformed with like the horrible old like
maybe they did all the VFX in sequence for this movie.
So they started
so they started with all the money and then they got to the end and they're like shit.
Because even before that, there was when he first blew up the first two who were fighting him in the hallway with did they have swords? I can't remember. But the first two vampires that we see blow up, and there's a moment where like it blows up and blood is going everywhere, and I turned to Bryce and I was like, it looks like you did it. It looks like it's something we did because it was so over the top.
Effects.
Yeah, After Effectsy looking.
But like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what's a little disappointing for me though, in that scene specifically, is that they've already solved that problem in the VFX, and they did. I mean, it looked a little goofy back then too, but Total Recall, the Mars planet.
Oh yeah, see that was a better version of somebody's
with
face.
prosthetics.
Yeah,
and it still looked goofy.
The eyes bulging.
But like, you could put a little more effort in the prosthetics and probably had a really cool, horrifying, real looking thing.
Well, maybe their prosthetics budget went to the fat lady.
Ew.
That was
funny. Fat guy.
Was a guy?
They kept saying it was he.
He did.
Really?
Yeah.
And the actor was a guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
They called him Pearl, so I thought it was a
I did too.
female,
Like,
and then the
why?
giant boobs, so I just assumed.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of weird.
I could have done without that.
Even
part.
vampires have the morbidly obese.
Did that remind
problem
anyone
that
else of
affects us all.
Seven? Because
Right,
I was like, this
yeah.
feels very much like that scene in Seven.
I have not seen that movie.
It's on the list.
So good.
But so back to like the people exploding stuff. I think they did it really well in True Blood.
Okay. People
Where-
explode in True Blood.
That's how the vampires die, and it's like not cheesy, but just like really disgusting, like just slimy,
I love
gutsy
it.
goo.
That's how I do it.
Yeah,
Totally.
That's HBO
And then-
money, though,
That's
right?
all I
it is.
killed
It's
vampire.
HBO money. Yeah.
And then everyone standing within a 10-foot radius would be covered in blood if I made it.
But that just happens in like everyday shoots for you.
Yeah. Pretty much everything except the latest one we've been working on. If somebody dies and there's mass amounts of blood, but this one, well, no, that's not true. There is a dead body with mass amounts of blood in this one too. I forgot.
That's like your calling card.
Yep. Well, I mean, we didn't really get into it when we watched True Blood, but like Quentin Tarantino was a big
Romance.
influence, or true when we watched True Blood. Sorry, True Romance. Quentin Tarantino is a big influence for me, for sure. As far as like,
Those
I feel
Kill
like
Bill
he's
blood
over.
fountains.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I love it.
Just don't force your actors to drive on unsafe roads.
No. Yeah.
Everyone is bad.
Marissa did jump into a dumpster full of thumbtacks, but I did not tell her to do that. She did that on her own accord, and I was
threw away all those
She
horrified.
McFoleyed it?
What? In Hold Up, she jumps into that dumpster. I did not tell her to jump into the dumpster. And earlier in the day, we had thrown out a bunch of thumbtacks because we finished shooting out her bedroom scenes, which had all these things hanging with thumbtacks.
Just threw away all of our syringes.
And I was just like watching horrified as she jumps in. And I was like, oh my God, expecting her to come out covered in thumbtacks. She was okay.
That's good.
Then we put a mattress in it and I told her to do it again.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
I like Blade. It was okay.
Wrap it up.
Sam, you like Blade?
Yeah, this was super fun, guys. I mean, it's not a perfect movie, but damn, it's enjoyable, and I could totally watch it again.
Totally.
I didn't expect it to be so good.
I didn't know.
Now, you say you could watch it again. Are you in for Blade 2 with Guillermo?
Totally.
And maybe Ryan Reynolds? I don't know if he was in the second or only the third.
I don't know.
I could do that.
Brett?
Would you guys agree? Because there's other great things about other vampires movies, but I still feel like this was the baddest assest of the vampire movies.
Again, you should check out Night Watch and Day Watch because there's some badass action in that.
Was this a vampire movie or was it a different thing, a vampire hunter movie?
Okay.
And is that a different thing
Interesting.
at all?
Are you talking about like? I didn't watch it, so I have no idea if this is on
Van Helsing?
Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, or maybe Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I haven't seen it.
Which is by the guy who did Night Watch and Day Watch.
Oh, he directed that?
Yeah, he directed that one too.
But like, the Van Helsing TV series that they made recently. I don't know if that's a different thing or if I'm just saying bullshit.
I don't know. I haven't seen any of that.
It reminds me of the Van Helsing movie. Where that is a vampire hunter movie.
Yeah.
But that was a little more comedy, I think, than this.
Yeah. What do you think, Brett?
I really liked it. almost
it doesn't feel like a movie we should like.
It's almost cooler than I remember it, just because it's so long ago and it's still this entertaining. Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't even feel, except for the CG and the really bad sword fight. I feel like a lot of the choreography was awesome and is like up to snuff for today's choreography stuff in action movies. Yeah. Like, it was just really cool. I'm glad we watched it.
What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was everything that I hoped it would be and more. And like, I feel like we've watched several movies lately where it's like, do I want to watch the sequels? No. But this one, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. This is awesome. I love this world. And I had to look it up because I just can't believe that this movie got a 54%. And it's 54% is what critics gave it. Audience gave it a 78%, which I feel is more on par with what this film actually deserves. Yeah. Because it was entertaining. There's definitely moments that are like, don't quite make sense, but I feel like with action movies, sometimes, you just gotta lean into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
thought it was good. I liked it. I want to say, I don't think we quite touched on it, but like, I feel like Wesley Snipes did a fantastic job in this film, and I'm kind of like surprised that we don't see him in more things.
I think it's only because he's getting older.
Okay.
But he was like really intense in this.
Yeah, he was great.
Like in a filling the screen kind of way. Like it was. I wish there was more stuff
with him.
Watch with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a ton of stuff. It's just not brand new stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good Snipes out there. All right, so that is Blade.
Yeah, if you like this show, it's part of the Laugh Stash TV network of content. It's this podcast and a YouTube channel with a cooking show and a drinking show, video game parodies, and a lot more fun stuff.
Yeah. Oh, man. Guys, I forgot to tweet a picture so that people could guess what we were watching. Sorry, I forgot. It's my fault. But anyway, you can follow us. We're at Laugh Stash TV, or you can follow this podcast at Let's Rewatch, and you can subscribe on YouTube. We're Laugh Stash TV, where if you like to see things covered in blood, we got that.
And if you liked our podcast, please give us a positive review on iTunes or Google Play Music. We are real close to 5 stars, and we really want to hit that mark, and you can help us.
So make sure your podcast feeds are up to date, and you tell your friends we'll be doing this again in another 2 weeks for more.
And thanks for watching, listening. Whatever you did. Thanks for watching Blade and not listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I hope I haven't done this one already. But next week, we're gonna watch The Last Exorcism Part 2.
Oh, God. Wait, how could there be a part 2?
I think you did do this one before, but I think it's appropriate. I think you should do it again.